Your soulmate heard something about you today. Their reaction was unexpected. Don't scroll, listen to this because this message is for you. Your heart needs this right now. If these words have found you today, receive them with an open heart. My beloved child, there is a reason you were guided here at this very moment. Somewhere today, while you were simply living your life, completely unaware of what was unfolding behind the scenes, your soulmate heard something about you they were never expecting to hear. It was not a conversation they were searching for. It was not a question they intentionally asked. It happened naturally, almost as though the universe gently arranged the moment at exactly the right time. The instant your name was spoken, their attention completely changed. They stopped what they were doing. Their heart became still. Something deep inside them quietly whispered, "Listen carefully. My beloved child, there are moments when a single sentence becomes powerful enough to change the direction of an entire heart. This was one of those moments. Listen to this because this message is for you. For a long time your soulmate believed they already understood who you were. They thought they knew your story. They believed they had already formed every conclusion that mattered. Yet within only a few moments, everything they thought they knew began falling apart. The words they heard today did not create distance. They created understanding. They did not fill their heart with doubt. They filled it with unexpected admiration. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now because the conversation began very simply. Someone casually mentioned your name while talking about kindness, integrity, and quiet strength. At first your soulmate smiled politely, expecting to hear something ordinary. But then another person quietly said, "Do you know what amazes me most about them? They help people without ever asking anyone to notice." Those words immediately caught your soulmate's attention. They remained completely silent, pretending not to be affected, but inside their heart something had already begun changing. As the conversation continued, they heard story after story describing moments when you quietly encouraged people through difficult seasons, offered help without expecting recognition, and remained respectful even toward those who misunderstood you. My beloved child, every sentence they heard felt like another piece of a beautiful picture they had never fully seen before. They suddenly realized that the person they remembered was even more extraordinary than they had ever allowed themselves to believe. Listen to this because this message is for you. The unexpected part was not what they heard. The unexpected part was their own reaction. They expected to feel curiosity. Instead, they felt overwhelming emotion. They expected to simply acknowledge the conversation and move on with their day. Instead, they found themselves unable to think about anything else. Every story they heard reminded them of moments they had shared with you. They remembered your patience during difficult conversations. They remembered how naturally you encouraged people who doubted themselves. They remembered how often you quietly placed someone else's happiness before your own comfort. My beloved child, they suddenly realized those moments had never been coincidences. That was simply who you had always been. The truth had been standing in front of them all along. They had simply never looked closely enough to recognize its full beauty. Don't scroll. Your heart needs this right now because after that conversation ended, your soulmate quietly walked away without saying very much. They found a peaceful place where they could sit alone for a few minutes. They looked down at their hands and asked themselves one simple question. How did I overlook someone with a heart like this? That question echoed inside them again and again. Every answer they tried to give only led them back to the same realization. They had been so focused on circumstances that they had overlooked character. They had paid attention to temporary situations while missing the lasting beauty of your spirit. Listen to this because this message is for you. My beloved child, sometimes life slows a person down just long enough for them to finally recognize what has always been precious. As the afternoon quietly continued, another unexpected memory returned. Your soulmate remembered a day when you chose forgiveness instead of anger. At the time they thought you were simply avoiding conflict. Today, after hearing what they had heard, they understood something completely different. Your forgiveness had never been weakness. It had been strength. They remembered another moment when you quietly celebrated someone else's success even though your own heart was carrying disappointment. They remembered the calmness in your voice during difficult seasons. They remembered how rarely you complained even when life became challenging. Suddenly everything connected. My beloved child, the stories they heard today simply confirmed what your actions had been showing all along. Perhaps recently you have continued noticing repeating numbers like 111, 222, 333, or 444 appearing during quiet moments when your heart has been searching for reassurance. My beloved child, receive those moments as gentle reminders to continue becoming the person I created you to be. Continue choosing honesty when shortcuts appear easier. Continue choosing compassion when resentment seems justified. Continue living with integrity even when no one appears to notice. The beauty of genuine character always reveals itself in its proper season. Don't scroll. Your heart needs this right now because your soulmate's reaction continued surprising them throughout the rest of the day. Every ordinary task reminded them of something connected to you. While driving home, they remembered your laughter. While sitting quietly during the evening, they remembered the hope you always carried into difficult situations. They realized that every memory of you brought peace rather than bitterness. That realization completely humbled them. They whispered softly to themselves, I never truly appreciated the quiet ways they changed my life. My beloved child, gratitude often arrives long after pride finally grows silent. Listen to this because this message is for you. While your soulmate has been reflecting on everything they heard today, I have also been walking beside you. There were moments when you wondered whether your kindness had made any difference. You questioned whether your quiet sacrifices had been forgotten. You wondered if anyone truly saw the goodness you carried inside your heart. Hear me clearly today, my beloved child. Nothing given with sincerity is ever lost. Every encouraging word, every patient conversation, every unseen act of compassion continues touching lives in ways you may never fully witness. Even when appreciation seems delayed, your character continues speaking louder than you realize. As evening quietly settled beneath the stars, your soulmate looked toward the sky with a heart completely different from the one they carried that morning. They no longer remembered you only through old conversations or shared experiences. They remembered you through the remarkable person they had discovered you truly were. Then they whispered something they never imagined they would say. If everything I heard today is true, Then I never fully understood the incredible heart standing before me. My beloved child, those words marked the beginning of a powerful awakening. But this story is only beginning. Before another sunrise arrives, your soulmate will unexpectedly hear one more hidden truth about you, a truth connected to a quiet sacrifice you made without ever telling anyone. When that final piece of your story reaches their heart, their reaction will become even more emotional than anything they experience today, and nothing about the way they see you will ever be the same again. Don't scroll, listen to this because this message is for you. Your heart needs this right now. My beloved child, after hearing those unexpected words about you, your soulmate believed their heart had already experienced the greatest surprise of the day. They thought the conversation had ended and that life would simply continue as normal. But something inside them refused to let the moment pass. The stories they heard continued echoing in their mind long after everyone else had forgotten the conversation. They tried to focus on ordinary responsibilities, but every quiet moment brought your name back into their thoughts. It was as though their heart was gently saying, "There is more you still need to understand." Listen to this because this message is for you. My beloved child, sometimes one truth is not enough because the heart is being prepared to receive something even greater. Later that afternoon, your soulmate unexpectedly crossed paths with someone who had known you during one of the most challenging seasons of your life. The meeting was completely unplanned. They exchanged a few ordinary words before your name naturally entered the conversation once again. This time, however, the stories became much more personal. The person smiled warmly and quietly said, "What people admire most about them isn't what they do when life is easy. It's who they become when life is difficult." Those words immediately caught your soulmate's attention. They remained completely silent, listening carefully as one memory after another was shared. They learned that during a season when you were carrying burdens no one else knew about, you still found time to encourage friends who believed they were alone. They heard that you quietly helped people without ever expecting anything in return. They discovered that while others saw your smile, very few ever realized how much strength it took for you to keep smiling. My beloved child, every sentence they heard made them realize that your greatest battles had never stolen your greatest qualities. Instead, they had revealed them. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now because as the conversation continued, another unexpected truth quietly came into the light. Someone softly said, there were times they could have defended themselves, but they chose silence because they didn't want anyone else to be hurt. Those words completely changed the way your soulmate remembered several moments from your past together. They suddenly understood why you had remained calm during situations that once confused them. They realized your silence had never come from weakness or indifference. It had come from compassion. You had quietly protected other people, even when doing so meant carrying misunderstandings yourself. Listen to this because this message is for you. My beloved child, genuine strength is rarely loud. It often chooses peace when pride would choose recognition. Your soulmate walked away from that conversation feeling overwhelmed. They found themselves sitting alone in complete silence, staring into the distance as every memory began returning with new meaning. They remembered the days when they thought you were simply keeping your feelings hidden. They remembered wondering why you never tried harder to explain yourself. Today they finally understood. You were never trying to win arguments. You were trying to protect hearts. They quietly whispered your name before saying, "I misunderstood the strongest person I have ever known." My beloved child, humility often begins with the courage to admit that someone else's heart was far more beautiful than we first believed. Perhaps recently you have continued noticing repeating numbers like 111, 222, 333, 444, or 555 during moments when your heart has been searching for peace. My beloved child, let those quiet reminders encourage you to continue walking faithfully. Continue choosing honesty over convenience. Continue choosing kindness over resentment. Continue becoming the person I created you to be. Every unseen act of love leaves a lasting mark, even if you cannot see it immediately. Don't scroll. Your heart needs this right now because your soulmate returned home carrying a completely different heart than the one that left that morning. They opened old conversations between the two of you, not to relive the past but to understand it more honestly. As they read your messages, they noticed something they had overlooked countless times before. Even when you were clearly going through difficult moments, your words remained full of encouragement. You celebrated their victories. You comforted them during disappointments. You reminded them not to give up when life became overwhelming. Suddenly tears quietly filled their eyes because they realized something extraordinary. You had been pouring hope into their life while quietly carrying your own silent battles. My beloved child, there are few gifts greater than a heart that continues giving even when it is hurting. Listen to this because this message is for you. While your soulmate has been discovering these hidden truths, I have also been walking beside you. There were nights when you wondered whether anyone truly saw the sacrifices hidden behind your smile. You questioned whether remaining kind had accomplished anything meaningful. You wondered if your quiet love had simply disappeared into forgotten memories. Hear me clearly today, my beloved child. Nothing offered with a sincere heart has ever been wasted. Every act of compassion, every decision to forgive, every moment you chose grace instead of bitterness has continued shaping not only your own spirit but also the lives of people around you, even when they did not recognize it at the time. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now because another remarkable realization has entered your soulmate's heart. They now understand that hearing these stories was not simply about learning new information. It was about seeing you for who you have always been. They no longer remember you only through shared moments. They remember you through your character. They no longer admire your kindness because it felt pleasant. They admire it because they now understand how much courage it required. Every memory has become richer. Every conversation has become more meaningful. Every unanswered question has quietly found another piece of its answer. As evening settled beneath a peaceful sky, your soulmate stepped outside and looked toward the stars. They whispered softly, "Thank you for letting me hear what I needed to hear today. I thought I knew their story, but I only knew the parts they allowed everyone else to see. Now I understand that behind every quiet smile was extraordinary strength." Those words brought a sense of gratitude they had not experienced in a very long time. My beloved child, gratitude transforms the heart because it teaches us to recognize blessings that pride once ignored. Listen to this because this message is for you. Yet this journey is still not complete. Your soulmate believes they have now uncovered the greatest truth about you, but one final revelation is still waiting. Very soon they will unexpectedly discover something you once did for them that they never knew about. A quiet act of love that remained hidden because you never wanted recognition. When that forgotten sacrifice finally comes back into the light, your soulmate's reaction will become even more emotional than it was today. They will realize they were never simply hearing stories about a kind person. They were discovering the extraordinary heart that had quietly been changing their life all along. And when that final truth reaches them, my beloved child, every remaining misunderstanding will disappear, and the deepest lesson of this journey will finally be revealed. Don't scroll, listen to this because this message is for you. Your heart needs this right now. My beloved child, after making that silent promise beneath the stars, your soulmate believed they had already experienced the deepest awakening of their life. They thought nothing could move their heart more than the commitment they had quietly made in the darkness of that peaceful night. But they were about to discover something they never expected. A forgotten piece of your story was waiting to return, and when it did, every word of that silent promise suddenly carried an even greater meaning. Listen to this because this message is for you. My beloved child, there are moments when life quietly places an old memory back into your hands, not to make you live in the past, but to help you finally understand why your heart has never truly forgotten it. One quiet afternoon, while cleaning a drawer they had ignored for years, your soulmate found a small object hidden beneath old papers. It was something simple, something most people would have thrown away without thinking twice. A handwritten note, an old photograph, or a small keepsake connected to a moment the two of you once shared. The moment they picked it up, time seemed to stand still. Their hands trembled as memories came rushing back all at once. They remembered the day you gave it to them. They remembered your smile. They remembered how casually they accepted it, never realizing how much love, thought, and sincerity had been placed into such a small gesture. My beloved child, tears quietly filled their eyes because they finally understood that what looked ordinary at the time had actually been one of the purest expressions of your heart. Don't scroll. Your heart needs this right now because as they carefully looked at that forgotten reminder, they noticed something they had completely missed years ago. There was a sentence written on it that suddenly spoke directly to their soul. It was simple, gentle, and filled with hope. It reminded them to believe in themselves, to never stop becoming the person they were meant to be, and to remember that genuine love always encourages growth instead of fear. Your soulmate read those words again and again until they could no longer hold back their emotions. They whispered softly, "They believed in me before I ever believed in myself." My beloved child, that realization broke every remaining wall around their heart. They understood that your love had never tried to control them. It had quietly inspired them to become stronger. Listen to this because this message is for you. They sat in complete silence, holding that small reminder close to their heart. Every memory returned with remarkable clarity. They remembered how often you celebrated their smallest achievements. They remembered how you gently encouraged them after difficult days. They remembered that whenever they doubted their future, you somehow found words that gave them hope again. At the time they believed those conversations were ordinary. Today they understand they were extraordinary. They realized your presence had become one of the greatest sources of confidence they had ever known. My beloved child, some people enter your life to change your circumstances, but others quietly change the way you see yourself forever. Perhaps recently you have continued noticing repeating numbers like 111, 222, 333, 444, or even 555 during moments when your heart has been searching for reassurance. My beloved child, let those moments gently remind you that every act of genuine kindness leaves a lasting imprint. Continue encouraging others. Continue speaking words that build hope instead of fear. You may never fully know how deeply your quiet encouragement changes another person's life. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now because that forgotten keepsake became much more than an old memory. It became proof that the silent promise your soulmate made beneath the stars had been growing inside them long before they ever realized it. They suddenly understood that every lesson they were learning today had first been planted by seeds you quietly sowed years ago. The patience you showed, the forgiveness you offered, the belief you placed in them, and the unwavering respect you carried had all continued growing inside their heart without them even noticing. Listen to this because this message is for you. My beloved child, love built upon sincerity continues working quietly long after words have ended. As evening slowly arrived, your soulmate opened their notebook once again. This time they were not writing about regret. They were writing about gratitude. They filled page after page with memories of the quiet ways you had changed their life. They wrote about the courage you inspired. They wrote about the peace your presence brought. They wrote about the way you always encouraged them to become a better version of themselves instead of asking them to become someone else. Finally, they stopped writing and whispered through tears, "Everything I promised beneath the stars was inspired by someone who had already been teaching me those lessons all along." My beloved child, those words carried complete honesty. Listen to this because this message is for you. While your soulmate has been discovering these hidden truths, I have also been strengthening your own spirit. There were moments when you wondered whether your quiet love had truly made a difference. You questioned whether your encouragement had simply been forgotten. You wondered if the sacrifices you made had disappeared into the past without leaving any lasting impact. Hear me clearly today, my beloved child. Nothing offered through genuine love is ever lost. Every encouraging word, every patient conversation, every act of kindness continues echoing through lives long after the moment has passed. Even when you cannot see the result immediately, seeds planted with love continue growing beneath the surface. Don't scroll. Your heart needs this right now because another extraordinary realization has entered your soulmate's heart. They now understand that the silent promise carrying your name was never about trying to rewrite yesterday. It was about honoring everything your heart quietly gave them. They no longer wish to become better simply because they regret the past. They want to become better because your example showed them what genuine character truly looks like. They have stopped measuring success by achievements alone. They now measure it by honesty, gratitude, humility, compassion, and the courage to value people while they are still present. As darkness gently covered the sky, your soulmate stepped outside once again beneath the same stars where they first made that quiet promise. They held the forgotten keepsake close to their heart and whispered another prayer. Thank you for allowing me to remember what I almost overlooked. Thank you for showing me that the greatest gift they ever gave me was not something I could hold in my hands. It was the person I have slowly become because they believed in me. Those words brought a deep sense of peace unlike anything they had experienced before. My beloved child, continue protecting the beautiful heart I have placed within you. Continue choosing kindness without expecting immediate recognition. Continue believing in people even when they cannot yet see the best within themselves. Never think your quiet love has been wasted simply because someone appreciated it later than you hoped. The story is not over yet. One final chapter still remains. Very soon your soulmate will uncover one last hidden truth, a promise you quietly made during your own journey, one they never knew existed. When they discover that your heart had also been carrying a silent promise all along, they will realize that both of your journeys have been quietly moving toward the same lesson from the very beginning. And when every memory, every lesson, every tear, and every quiet realization has been leading your soulmate to this moment, they believed they had already discovered everything there was to understand about your connection. They believed the promise they made carried all the meaning it ever could. But one final truth remained hidden, and when it finally came into the light, it changed not only the promise, it changed the person who made it. Listen to this because this message is for you. Sometimes the greatest revelation is not discovering that someone loved you. It is discovering how deeply they believed in you, even during the moments when you struggled to believe in yourself. One peaceful afternoon, your soulmate unexpectedly met someone who had been close to you during a season they knew very little about. The conversation was simple at first, filled with ordinary memories and familiar names. Then the person smiled gently and said something your soulmate never expected to hear. There was one promise they made that they never told anyone. Your soulmate immediately became silent. Their heart felt as though it had stopped for just a moment. They quietly asked what that promise had been. The answer came with remarkable calmness. They promised they would never allow disappointment to make them stop believing in love. They promised they would never become bitter because of heartbreak. They wanted to remain the kind person they had always been, no matter what life placed in front of them. My beloved child, those words echoed through your soulmate's heart like a quiet sunrise after a long night. They suddenly realized that while they had been making a silent promise beneath the stars, you had been carrying your own silent promise for much longer. Don't scroll. Your heart needs this right now because as those words settled inside their spirit, every memory took on a completely new meaning. They remembered moments when you chose understanding instead of anger. They remembered times when you spoke gently even after being disappointed. They remembered how you never tried to damage anyone's reputation, even when you had every reason to defend yourself. At the time they believed that was simply your personality. Now they understood it was the result of a promise you faithfully honored every single day. Listen to this because this message is for you. My beloved child, promises made in private often become the foundation of the character the world admires in public. Your soulmate quietly walked away and found a place where they could be alone. They looked toward the sky and allowed every emotion they had been carrying to rise to the surface. Tears slowly filled their eyes as they whispered, they stayed true to their promise, even when life gave them every reason to break it. They realized that your strength had never come from having an easy life. It came from making a decision about the kind of person you wanted to remain, regardless of what happened around you. My beloved child, genuine character is revealed when circumstances become difficult, not when they are comfortable. Perhaps recently you have continued noticing repeating numbers like 111, 222, 333, 444, or even 777 during moments when your heart has been searching for reassurance. My beloved child, let those moments gently remind you that the greatest victories often happen quietly within the soul. Continue choosing honesty over convenience. Continue choosing forgiveness over resentment. Continue choosing peace over bitterness. Every choice you make today shapes the person you continue becoming tomorrow. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now because your soulmate returned home carrying more gratitude than regret. For the first time, they stopped wishing they could rewrite the past. Instead, they thanked me for every lesson they had learned through knowing you. They understood that the promise carrying your name was never simply about hoping for another opportunity. It was about honoring the extraordinary impact your life had already made. They opened their notebook one final time and began writing from the deepest place within their heart. They wrote, "I promise to appreciate kindness while it is still beside me. I promise never to confuse quiet love with ordinary love again. I promise to speak gratitude before it becomes regret. I promise to protect honest conversations instead of hiding behind fear. I promise to remember the person who taught me that strength can be gentle, patience can be powerful, and real love asks for respect before recognition." When they finished writing, they smiled through tears because they finally understood something beautiful. The promise carrying your name had become much greater than a memory. It had become the guide for the life they now wanted to live. Listen to this because this message is for you. While your soulmate has been transformed by these quiet awakenings, I have also been walking beside you, my beloved child. There were seasons when you wondered if loving sincerely had accomplished anything. You questioned whether your encouragement had mattered. You wondered whether the quiet sacrifices you made had simply disappeared into yesterday. Hear me clearly today. Nothing given with a sincere heart is ever wasted. Every gentle word, every patient act, every moment you chose compassion instead of pride became part of a story much greater than you could see. Even when people recognized your worth later than you hoped, the goodness you carried never lost its value. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now because your soulmate now understands the greatest truth of all. They believed they were making a promise about you, but in reality they were becoming the person your quiet example had always inspired them to become. They no longer define love by excitement alone. They define it through trust, consistency, gratitude, honesty, humility, and unwavering respect. They have learned that the rarest hearts are often the quietest ones, and that genuine love is built through everyday choices far more than dramatic moments. As the stars filled the night sky one final time, your soulmate looked upward and whispered one last prayer. Thank you for placing this remarkable soul in my life. Whether our paths cross again or remain separate, I will never forget the lessons their heart taught mine. I will carry those lessons with gratitude for the rest of my life. Peace quietly settled over them because they no longer carried only regret. They carried wisdom. They carried hope. They carried transformation. My beloved child, this story reaches its ending with two promises joined together. One promise was made by you, to never let pain change the goodness within your heart. The other promise was made by your soulmate, to never again overlook the value of genuine love. Those promises may have been spoken in different places, at different times, beneath different skies, but they were both born from the same desire, to become better, kinder, wiser, and more faithful than before. Carry this final lesson with you. Never stop believing in the quiet power of a sincere heart. Never stop choosing integrity when shortcuts appear easier. Never stop offering kindness because someone else failed to appreciate it. Your worth has never depended on how quickly another person recognized your value. It has always been found in the love, compassion, humility, and strength you continue to carry through every season. And that, my beloved child, is the true ending of this journey. The silent promise was never only about a soulmate. It was about two hearts learning that the greatest love is not measured by perfect timing, but by the lasting transformation it leaves behind. When love teaches you to become a better person, its greatest promise has already been fulfilled.